Hi, my name is Kimberly from Zeeman Development. Today I'm going to walk you through the Chimpegration Pro settings that you'll need to have a look at before getting started using the integration. So the first thing you need to do is go to the plugins area, open up Chimpegration and go to the settings. The first thing you'll need to do, and you may have done this already, is to input your MailChimp API key. If you don't know what that is, simply click on the link at the bottom. You'll need to log into your MailChimp account and you can either create an API key there or set up a new one. You will need to have administrator permissions to do that. So if you're not the administrator on the MailChimp account, you might need to get a colleague to do that bit for you. Once that's set up, we can go through the other areas of the settings. So first of all, we can look at our security settings. So you can see all the different areas of Chimpegration are available here, and we can lock some of those down only for our supervisor users. So for example, the settings area and the activation we might want to only have available for supervisors, but it's entirely up to you how you set this up. Our next tab allows us to determine how we work with audiences that have relationship records as well as constituent records within them. So we can set these up differently for each different audience. So first of all, we select the audience we want to work with. We select the box that says this audience contains both constituent and non-constituent relationship records. And then we'll need to set up a field on that MailChimp audience that determines which type of record each is. And then we'll need to label it. So I've got a field called record type. And within that field, people are either labeled as a constituent or a relationship. So I simply match those up to the constituent and the relationship records here. And I can then go and do the same with any other records that have got both relationships and constituents in as well. And this just means that when we come to run our synchronization, then Chimpegration will know which records we're working with when we do the constituent sync or the relationship sync. The campaigns tab just allows us to determine what we can see when we're looking in Chimpegration or when we're working in Chimpegration. And so that means we can reduce the number of campaigns that we see in the drop-down, either by restricting the date from which campaigns are loaded. So you might want to change this once a year, so you're only loading that year's campaigns or the last month's campaigns. You could also archive certain campaigns once you've dealt with all the mailing results in Chimpegration. Nothing that you do here will affect your MailChimp account. It's simply about the view that you get in Chimpegration. And you can also select the order the campaigns are listed in as well. So by default, they'll be ordered by date, but you can change that to create date, ascending or descending, the sent date, or you can have it arranged alphabetically as well. The campaign activity tab allows us to select where we're going to store action attributes and appeal responses for our campaign activity in Razor's Edge. So with our everyone sent option, we can add the open and click data to Razor's Edge. So if we create an action for that, we can create action attributes for the opens, the clicks, and the campaign ID. So we'll need to set those up in Razor's Edge in advance. They need to be text attributes, and then we can select them from the drop down here. So I've got one called MailChimp opens, one called MailChimp clicks, the campaign ID, and that's all set up for the attribute. If you're processing everyone sent and their opens and clicks on an appeal, then we'll need to set up appeal responses to house that data. And these work slightly differently. So these will work in hierarchy. So we need to choose the first response for when we send the email, the response that will overwrite that if they open it, and then the one that will overwrite that if they click on the link. So I've created ones that have got exactly the same names, but you can set these up however you like in Razor's Edge, and then you just need to select them here so you've got the appropriate ones. If you're creating an action, you can also create an action notepad. So we just check this box, choose the notepad type, and that will add the name of the MailChimp campaign as a notepad on the action as well. Our duplicate emails area allows us to make decisions about what we do when people share an email address in Razor's Edge. So we can choose what to do with multiple Razor's Edge constituents sharing an email address. We can either choose a main contact, and we can determine how that main contact is calculated. So either the person with the email marked as primary, a specific constituent attribute, and I've got one set up as main contact, a specific constituent code, and you can choose whichever one of those is most sensible for you, or you can set up a new one. And then you can do the same for relationship records as well. So either the email address being marked as primary or a specific relationship attribute. And again, I've got a specific one set up here. then when you're using Chimpegration, all the various areas allow you to select whether or not you want to work with the main contact or with everyone who shares the email address whenever you're processing data. The final tab is our Lookup. The Lookup area allows you to determine how you want to match constituents from Razor's Edge with your constituents on MailChimp. So we've got some default options here about how we look up constituents, which is based on a constituent ID, an email address, and a first name and a surname. You can set up additional lookups or make changes to the ones that exist here, but obviously this will depend on what information you're collecting from people when they sign up to your MailChimp audiences as to how accurate you can be here. And we can create different matching criteria for both the constituents and the relationship records. So to give you an idea of what this could look like, let's take a look at the name default values. So here we can see the constituent type, which is always going to be individuals because that's all we can work with in Chimpegration. We can choose to match on biographical data, again, depending on what of that information you have in MailChimp. Here we're matching only on first name and surname. But with all text fields, we've got the option to match on all characters, a limited number of characters, or on SoundX, which are names that sound the same but are spelled differently. And also with first name, we can check first name equivalents as well. So that's things like Robert, Bob, Bobby, Rob, so that we can find matches where people have maybe not put in quite exactly the same as you've got in Razor's Edge. We've also got a number of different options here that you can choose from, and all within the biographical area. And then we can look at our address lines too. So once again, we can match on address lines with number of characters. We can check address equivalents. So this is things like avenue, av, av, ave, city, county, postcode or zip, and the email and telephone number as well. So you can create sets of criteria for people to be looked up in your Razor's Edge in order to find more matches for your constituents. As I say, we've got defaults set up for you here. If you're not finding the matches you need, you might want to have a look and change them. And you can tweak these at any point as well. So if things change or if you start asking for more data or less data, then you can make changes to this at any point. And we can set up as many different criteria sets as you need as well. Okay, I hope that helps you get set up using Chimpegration. You now should be ready to get going, starting to bring your data into Razor's Edge and push it back out to MailChimp. Thanks for listening.